Okay. When I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And I got to give it to Bailey and Brandon. We're right back on Ryloth again. So maybe I'll just learn to keep my mouth shut. But I doubt it. Brandon, Bailey, let's get into this. What is happening, guys? Good to see you. As always, we are back for another Bad Batch breakdown here on a Saturday evening or afternoon, depending on where you're at. But let's start off like we always do. Bailey, how are you doing, ma'am?
I am doing well, Paul. It's hot and humid down here in Tatooine, but you know what? At least we're getting some rain, and I'm good with it.
Right, and I tell you, you can tell when you're from Arizona when the weather is the number one topic if water falls out of the sky.
That's all everyone talks about in the summer. We're all just like praying for rain.
Please save us.
Please.
Brandon, speaking of which, how are you doing, Brandon? Good to see you.
It's good to be here, and it's dry and crispy here in the forest moon of Minnesota.
Nice. Well, hopefully you get some rain, Brandon, and hopefully Bailey and I will get a little bit more. So we'll see what happens. But let's head over to the comments real quick, see who's up and who's joining us. There's Chris spending the evening at my mom's house. Sorry I missed the stream. He jumped out ahead. Great episode, 9 out of 10. Keep that in the back of your head for when we get there, guys. There's Gilster. Good to see you. Let's do this. J squared. Hey, Paul, Bailey, and Brandon. Good to see you, Joker. Appreciate that. And there's David Carell. Hello, Paul, and Bailey and Brandon. Good to see you guys. So, as I mentioned, you know what? I got to give it up to you guys. We're right back on Ryloth again. And I have no idea what the heck I'm talking about, right? Because some of you even gave percentages, and we were there 100%. Not a bad episode, little predictable, but yeah, Bailey's like, I know where we're going to be. That's why you got me on this show, Taylor. Yeah, Brandon, you live on Hoth, yeah, in the wintertime.
For 9 months of the year, yeah.
Right? Oh my God! If frozen water fell out of the sky here, Bailey and I would go into cardiac arrest, and that would be it for the Bad Batch breakdown. So, All right. Well, we're going to dive right into this. Rescue on Ryloth, episode 12. Like I said, we're right back to where we left off last time, and we get a little bit of closure. So, Brandon, as always, I'd like to start with you, if you don't mind. Kind of give us an overall and, kind of lead us in to what's going on at the beginning of the episode here, if you don't mind.
Oh, it was great. I thought it took off right from where we were going to. But there were a couple things that I thought were going to happen in this episode that didn't. So it was actually confusing, but at the same time, I was like, oh, okay, it is not the way that I expected it to go. But there were a lot of things that happened in this episode that I did expect to happen. Got to see some nice clone stuff for the people who grew up, with the prequels and the animated stuff. And obviously we're still there with Hera and Chopper. So that was good. Mm-hmm. And then as we'll see later, there were some callbacks to the original trilogy. So it really tied it. It was a really good episode when it came to that kind of stuff. So it's definitely up there for me. So we can talk about that later.
Nice. Absolutely. You know what, real quick though, look at John from Super Awesome Geek. You're awake. It's good to see you, brother. I'm so excited. And he makes an excellent point. And Bailey, we'll go over to you on this best Rebels episode ever. These last two have been great Rebels episodes. I love the arc. But Bailey, what did you think overall of what we got going on this episode? Some initial thoughts. I
thought it was a good episode. I think it was, pretty predictable for the most part. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. I'm kind of relieved we didn't see another mom/woman die in this. So that was like the biggest relief for me because I was waiting for it. But it was good. It was, as Super Awesome said, it was, like another Rebel episode. I'm okay with that. Yeah, y'all know I'm okay with that. The stuff happening around the Bad Batch, that's my attention. So I thought it was pretty good.
Right. I got a kick out of this one because although the Bad Batch was in it the whole time, it wasn't about them at all. They were just side characters in their own episode. But yeah. And there's JT. It's good to see you, JT. David, this episode wasn't as good as the last episode, but I liked it. Yeah, you know what? I was kind of tied for that. Bailey, let's stick with you, and let's talk about what we actually saw happening here. Do you want to kind of lead us off, explain to us what's going on here, and get us going?
Yeah, so it's as Brandon said, we kind of kick off, pretty much immediately after the events of the last episode. So we're back on Ryloth, and the Empire is just kind of, tightening their grip, if you will. Like, oh gosh, I'm blanking on the Rampart is kind of, he's sending out probe droids. He's, telling Hauser, to start collecting people. Things are getting a little more serious regarding their occupation. It kind of went from where we saw last episode where, hey, we're your friends. And then just like that, they're kind of like, they're really taking control now. And the public is, under the impression that, Cham Sadula, Hera's dad, assassinated their senator. And of course, for the most part, they're like, something's up. But, it's definitely, this episode starts off a little more intense this time around when it comes to the Empire than the last one.
Agree. Brandon, talk to me about this scene a little bit. Specifically, I mean, if you look at this off to the left, we got some gunships, we got some probe droids. What did you think about what's going on here? What kind of feeling did that give you? And then what did this remind you of, at least one of these things?
To me, it's the same thing as Raxus, when they're basically like, if you fall out of line, you'll be in trouble, kind of thing. But Rampart was basically telling the people, like, the assassination attempt on Orn Frita. We can tell it's you're shaken, and it's funny because everybody's kind of like, it's very concerning because obviously we're seeing the Empire kind of tighten their fist around it, and they're basically like, start rounding up the people that support Syndulla. And Hauser's like, we can't do that. They're peaceful citizens, like, until they do something. And it's that Empire rounding people up thing. And from the very beginning of the episode, you see Hauser, and he is very sympathetic towards the people and worried about Hera. And I mean, we see Hera's parents and Gobi in the cell all together, and Hauser's, giving them the look like, well, crap, like, we got to figure out, because they're like, we're going to send somebody to find Hera.
Right.
So
really quick, Brandon, there was a callback here in this. We got to see a couple of these with the probe droids, but we've seen those before. Am I right?
Oh yeah. Yep.
And where have we seen them before, Brandon?
Well, we've seen them multiple times in the series, but the first time we see it in Star Wars would be the Empire Strikes Back.
There you go. So for me, the probe droids being here kind of really, and the background music, if you listen to it, when these guys show up, like, things get ominous. The first time we saw them on Hoth, you could see them just freak and start scrambling, like, oh, they know we're here, we got to go. And then you see them circling the crowd down here, and it's got a really ominous feeling. Is that a good way to describe that, Bailey, you think?
I think so. Normally, and you see this pretty much in every media, like even in Fallen Order, anytime you see a probe droid, you're in danger. I don't know if we really saw them in Clone Wars, but definitely in Rebels. Like, anytime, that's kind of like your first cue that something is about to happen, because once those droids are around, the Empire is aware of what's going on. So yeah, I think that's just a Star Wars thing. You see probe droid, you're in danger.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with you on that. So, Brendan, I want to go back to the brig or the prison scene really quick. But before we do, there's Linda. It's good to see it. She always starts off with me because she knows. And then, Bailey and Brandon too. I'm the important one. Thanks, Linda. Hey, look at that. Matt, it's good to see you, brother. I appreciate it, man. And he's like, good, getting right to the clones and inhibitor chips, right? Linda, hey, David, did you notice the clones don't have elbow straps? Oh, that's an interesting one. And then, of course, there's Left Coast. And he's right, probe droids. I got a kick out of that. I mean, did you guys enjoy seeing them? Oh, Brandon, you got one?
Yeah, I wanted the Black Series one. It's hard to see because it's in the shadows, but he's
way back there, huh? Okay.
Yep.
Cool. That's not what I wanted to do. That's what I wanted to do. There we go. I know how to use this thing. But let me make sure I got everybody. Oh yeah, try playing Outcast. Pro droids are a pain in that game. And there you go. That cool iconic sound. The sound design. We've talked about this before, guys. That just really brings me back. So, and of course, David he's got the probe droid too. It's a good figure. But Brandon, you mentioned something earlier. And we talked about this last time, and here we go again, right off the bat. And Rampart's like, hey, too bad you're in custody for trying to kill Orn Free Ta. And Hauser, Ballast, depending on how you want to call him, is in the background going, what the Jimmy is going on here? What's going on with that, Brandon?
Yeah, I mean, Rampart is basically not taking any advising when it comes to the situation. He's very much the Empire is in control. We're going to take over this. He's, a couple steps ahead. And there's even points where Hauser's just like, you told the people this, and that's not what happened. So he can see, he's seeing through the, the corrupt tactics that the Empire is using. So, I mean, you can pretty much see in his face as they're talking, he's like, this isn't right. So I think they're doing a great job with that.
You know what? And Bailey, like I said, we talked about this last time, and with the continued aberrant behavior, this is the best way to describe this. What do you have any input or thoughts on what is going on? Because Order 66 used to mean kill everybody that's not on our side. What's going on here? What do you think? Or do you know yet?
You know what? I was a lot of people. I've been talking to quite a few people on this very topic. Is I feel like with each episode, I'm getting more and more confused as to how this whole chip business is supposed to work. Because I feel like right when we have an idea of how they work, I don't know, like something changes. So, it's like I said, I think in the last stream where like, I feel like even like the clones who weren't directly with a Jedi or anything like that, they still became like a puppet for the Empire. And then, for whatever reason, as much as I love Hauser and seeing a clone that acts like a clone that we're used to, it's just really confusing. And I kind of wish we would get explanation on that. I think that's been my biggest thing with this show is we're kind of thrown things that contradicts what we've seen before, and we get no explanation. So I don't know. Like as happy as I am to see him, I'm just really, really confused on this chip business. Like there's no like consistency with it. So it's like. I don't know. I don't know. It doesn't. I just have a feeling that we're not going to get an answer.
Right.
And we just have to kind of accept that for whatever reason he's normal.
Yeah. So Brandon, do you first of all, do you have some thoughts on why this is happening? And do you have any idea or a guess as to why they're treating like some of the clones? Because spoiler alert, at the end, some of them trade sides. Do you have any idea why they're doing that, or like a supposition on where they're going with that?
No, it's always been a little bit confusing because they like to, they like to make it seem like all the clones are very, very similar, because they're clones of a person, but they all have different personalities. So I feel like as much as you talk about their brains should be affected in the same way, and you can go into it however deep you want, but if they have different personalities, their brain chemistry is different. So their brains are going to respond to the chips in different ways. And that's the biggest thing that I think I'm going with right now. But anytime you have a named clone, they seem to have more of a personality and more agency than a typical, trooper. So that's why, Cody and Rex and now Hauser and some of the other named ones that we've seen, it's I feel like their responses are a little bit different than what a regular trooper is, which is why I've been hoping we'd see Cody, because we know that as soon as the switch was flipped, he was like, shoot down Kenobi. Yep. Yeah. And but Rex was fighting it. He was getting ready to shoot Ahsoka and stuff like that, and it just, as far as that's concerned, I think it's just because their brain chemistry is different, even though it should, they planned on it affecting them all the same way. They didn't expect them to have their own individuality.
You know what? I like that. That's as good an explanation as any. Go, Bailey. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, because I totally think Brandon is on the right track. It's just it's interesting because you would think that for the sake of what the Empire wanted, that would be a problem, for these clones to not respond the same way. So that's just what makes it more confusing is, Palpatine wanted these clones. It was always, part of the plan to have these be puppets. And then there's all these inconsistencies. So you would think that wouldn't be the case, but I don't know.
So I tell you, do you mind if I interject something here real quick, guys? Especially towards the end of this episode, when we'll get to that in a minute or in a few minutes, I'm beginning to think that this is a plot device and a mechanical way to get to the stormtroopers, because the stormtroopers aren't clones, whereas the clones were born and bred to fight for the Republic, and then they're just told, okay, now you're on this team, and we're going to change all our tactics. And we talked about this. I hate to use the word, but they're slaves, for lack of a better way to put it. I mean, they don't have any free will. And so they're starting to have issues. And this is one of the final straws that the Empire uses to get them out, because people who volunteer to go be stormtroopers for the Empire, in theory, would be less apt to rebel or to go against orders or to change their mind about things. And I think that's what I see kind of going on here. Hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. But yeah. Cool. Really quick, there's G-Force and crossing my street. Yeah, it's Saturday night, stream night, and I know that there's a couple of other big ones going on right now. So I just appreciate you, dropping by and saying hi. There, G-Force, thank you. And let's see here make sure I don't miss anything. You know what? Here's a question. If either of you guys want to hit it, John Joker, do you think we will see a Hera and Kanan meet in Bad Batch? Okay, there you have it. The very vocal Brandon and Bailey agree.
I think we were thinking.
If I'm not,
go Brandon. I think I know what you're going to say.
I was going to say, if I'm not mistaken, they meet in a novel.
Yes,
A New Dawn.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Shockingly, I've read that book. You guys, you'd be so proud of me. Yeah,
read a book.
I read a book, and I read the right one. Yeah, they don't meet until with the. Brandon, I see. When you know what though, he's calm and quiet, Bailey. But when he finally gets one, it's like, oh, right there, Taylor. What do you got now? Big fun.
I honestly haven't read that book yet, but judging from the cover, it looks like they're much older. So
yeah, and they are. By that time, Hera's already off with her own ship, and Kanan's having issues and everything. Yeah, so that's when they meet. At first, I thought he was a spy. He does have some good battle damage. I thought he was commander. Oh, that was the other one. Brandon, really quick, do you want to explain to G-Force what's going on here?
What?
He thought that was Commander Ballast.
So they came out with that multi-pack with the clones, and then if you go and you type in Commander Ballast for Star Wars and you click on it, it actually takes you to the Hauser Wikipedia page. So I don't know what the mix-up there was for branding. I don't know if they didn't want to give the name away for a named clone for an episode, but it's like it was just a week ago, like last week. But then the week, it wasn't that long of a time frame. They could have just said, here's the name of a clone that you haven't yet seen. Mm-hmm. So but how people are, they say that was a spoiler or find something to complain about. But,
right. Yeah. So it is the same guy though.
It's the same guy. Yeah.
Yeah. And of course we're talking about the same company that didn't know the difference between Kier Kanos and the other, what was Cardinal Jax? Yes. Yeah. So, and Matt makes an excellent point here. It's only a problem for the Empire if the clones are out of their factory. And I think they are now, Matt. So they can't return them. So they have to go to conscripts. But yeah. And then Steve-O, was it Cut or Rex who said there were some other clones that weren't affected by Order 66? Do you guys remember hearing about that?
I want to say Rex.
Okay.
I want to say he's, I don't know. I feel like he said it in the episode where he got like all the Bad Batch's chips out, but I could be totally wrong.
I think Cut mentions it too though, because he talks about Rex finding around finding other clones. So I think it's kind of we heard it from both of them.
Oh, so Cody would be the pinnacle of those chips working. 30 seconds later, he was best friends. And that switch flips, as you like to put it, Brandon, and he's blasting Kenobi, who's like the coolest guy in all of Star Wars. I mean, come on. And then there's all the way at the other end where you got guys like Ballasthauser who are like, yeah, I don't be knowing if we should do this. You know what I'm saying? So I think the chips, for some strange reason, run the gamut, and that's the head canon, pun intended, Brandon, I'm going to go with on that. So where are we at here? Oh yeah, no problem, John. Yeah, I was just shocked. I'd actually read it, and so happy. Matt, we'll talk to you soon, man. Thanks for stopping by. I know you're busy. Oh, and then he makes a very good point. The Hauser Ballast name thing is not without precedent. This goes all the way back to when I was a little kid for Forlom and Zuckus from back in the day. So yeah. So now my TVC clone 4-pack is mislabeled or a variant. Here's the thing. I'll be interested to see what he's called when they actually come in, Brandon. Then we'll get an idea, right?
When what?
That 4-pack, it says his name is Ballast, but they haven't been delivered. They haven't been delivered yet.
Right. Yeah.
I'm wondering if when they get there, I wonder if there's going to be some that say Hauser on them. That'll be interesting to see.
I wonder if they just put Ballast as the promo
like
image,
like the placeholder name. Yeah.
Yeah.
That'll be interesting to see. So, all right. Let's get back on track here. Sorry, I get excited talking about figures, and Bailey's eyes just glaze over. She's like, "Can you guys talk about figures some other time?" So we see that as you guys talked about, Rampart is sending a squad of people after. Well, we know it's the Crosshair squad to go get Hera because he wants the Syndulla clan wrapped up, and that's obviously a very foreboding thing because Crosshair's being a straight dick in this series so far, and he's arguing back and forth with Ballasthauser about you just go get the insurgents. I got this. Okay. He's just kind of talking down to people. I thought it was interesting. And of course, Hera is in a location that we saw in the Clone Wars, hiding in Cham Syndulla's old fort. And then we get this. And Bailey, I'd like to go over to you. Tell me what's going on here and if this reminded you of anything.
Yeah, so this is Hera reaching out to the Bad Batch, kind of like how Leia did with Obi-Wan Kenobi in the very first Star Wars. I mean, you can definitely tell by the way she's positioned. This is a very intentional callback to that hologram. But she is, I think she addresses Omega, actually, like, oh, Omega, like, I'm in danger. I need your help. And that was pretty much it. And at first, the Bad Batch were like, or I should say, like, Tex said something about children overreacting or something of that. Or, like, they were very resistant. And again, I was sitting there like, this man needs to stop talking, like, different subjects, and that's one of them. Like, this little girl is obviously in distress, and, like, like, she lost her parents. Overreaction. Anyhow, and Omega was the one that kind of talked, like, hey, like, she's obviously in danger. Like, she's reaching out to us. We need to help her. I would do the same if it were you guys. And that's when they turn around and go back to Ryloth. So, yeah. So this was a great callback to that Princess Leia holo.
I agreed. And, boy, you brought up something that I thought was awesome. I'd do the same for you, Hunter. I mean, this little kid, she just elbows him right in the crotch. I was like, damn. Eat that, Commando, right? Really quick, there's Mando Clips. I'm not sure how you're supposed to say that. Sorry, Mando. And let's keep going on down here. We saw that one already. Help me. That's what. Help me, Obi-Wan Omega. You're my only hope. It was awesome. Oh, there's David. Good to see you, David. All right. Okie dokie. All right. So they head back to Ryloth, as you mentioned, because they agreed to just take a look at the situation. Is that sound about right, Brandon?
Yeah.
Okay. And Hunter's like, yeah, there's no, we can't jump in every time someone needs help. And do you remember Omega's line back to him, Brandon?
That's what soldiers do, or isn't that what soldiers do?
So, and I've said this before, Brandon, especially I think I started on the episode you and I did together, but when this series first started, I wanted to choke this little kid, but now she's a sassy little, what the heck is wrong with you people? And I'm kind of enjoying the character a little bit. Now, Bailey, are you seeing that? Do you agree with me on that?
Oh yeah, because she's kind of speaking what I'm thinking, like, are you like for real right now? And I feel like Ahsoka kind of played that role too, where she's really just speaking what the audience is probably thinking. So yes, this is way more entertaining to watch than the whole how naive she was in the very beginning.
Right, no doubt. So let me see if I can find the picture here because you guys. Oh, there we go. So they agree to give it. Just go look at the situation. All right, and Brandon, you want to tell us what's going on and kind of take us into what happens next year and what you thought about that?
Yeah, so initially they thought that they were going to have to like just straight up attack the Capitol because that's where they were being held, and Hera's like no, like we need to go after something else. You need to go after the refinery, and so it was diversion away from where they were actually going to attack, and it's, I mean, Omega and Hera are there planning it out, and I like it when we kind of get to see they're planning it, but they don't really tell you what's going to happen. I like that because then it's and then as we see, Chopper gets to get in on some of the action, and then I thought it was really fun how they did it because each group had something to do, but we can talk about it in a little bit because there's a certain character that I don't remember doing much.
Okay. Well, right back to you, Brandon, just to hit on this point a little bit. They do the assessment and they're like, yeah, this ain't happening. There's too much going on. And so, Omega gets mad and goes over to where Hera is. And it's like, look, you can trust him. And I like that she's calling them her brothers now.
Yeah.
So, well, he's my brother. Well, they're all my brothers. And she's like, you just got to give him a chance. The kids thought of the plan. What did you think of that, Brandon?
I loved it. And I mean, it's Hera because she knows the places that they're attacking. And I mean, in Rebels, we see it. Hera is the one who usually has a plan, and then the rest of the crew is usually, mucking it up in some fashion. So I thought it was a nice little nod to how she is in Rebels.
It was kind of cool to see her already tactically minded, at this young age, for sure. So they decide that they're going to do this diversion, and it's the Dunium facility. And so the thing that shocked me, and Bailey, talk about this really quick before I throw the next picture up. Hunter assigned the two little girls and the robot to go on a mission by themselves. Did that catch you by surprise?
No, probably because of, back a few episodes when he and Omega were playing that game of strategy, and it was assumed that if she beat him that he would be, give her a little more leeway and whatnot. So no, I thought it was great. And those were also some of my favorite Clone Wars episodes too, is when the adults kind of allow the kid, put faith in the kids a little bit and have them, go off on their own adventure and they, be successful. So no, I think if, none of that strategy stuff happened, I'd be like, oh, this is an interesting turn of events. But I think it makes more sense because of that arrangement we saw a few episodes back, where if you beat me, then I'll listen to you more, pretty much.
Right. I forgot all about that. It happened right at the end, and then we never talked about it again. Bailey, you're the bomb. Thanks for bringing that up. Brandon, based on what Bailey said, do you think it looks like Omega won, huh?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. I figured that the episode, I was like, oh, she totally won. Yeah.
That's a very good, because I'm not going to lie. I was a little shocked because they've all been so protective of her. But this episode, they're like, all right, girl, get in there. Put me in, coach. So, Brandon, we'll stick with you. Okay. We head over to the Dunium facility. And tell us what's the plan here and what you thought of what was going on.
I loved it. Oh my god!
Okay.
They send Chopper in, and I thought it was so funny because he uses his booster jet to get around and basically blend in. And he's like, he starts making noises at one point, and it's basically like I'm not doing anything, and
nothing to see here. Yeah.
And they were scanning people and droids in, and he kind of circumnavigated that situation using his
look at the big brain on Brandon. Circumnavigate. I like that word. All right.
got his way around the situation, but he had to scomp link in to shut down the cannons. and he fried a droid in the process to get in it, but he did get noticed by 2 troopers. So then Hera and Omega, they're gonna arrest Chopper and bring him in, and Hera and Omega are basically, they're like, okay, well now we need to improvise. So they steal a ship, and Chopper's able to electrocute the he's able to electrocute the clone troopers and then get away. But yeah, I loved it because I was like, as soon as I saw Chopper going in, I was like, he's not going to be able to do this right, and the plans are gonna change, because then it's gonna make Hera and Omega actually have to like do something with it, and I thought it was a fun way to do that.
One of my favorite parts of this sequence is Tech on the radio. Has Chopper shut the cannons down yet? No, but we're working on it, or something to that effect, right?
Yeah.
So Bailey, I don't have any accompanying photography to go along with this, but something pretty cool happens here, and we see Hera get her chance to fly for the first time. Tell us a little bit about that and how that made you feel. You cool with that? You like it?
Yeah, no, it was pretty neat because even in the previous episode, she was always talking about how badly she wants to fly, and the whole reason why she went on that supply run is because her uncle promised her to fly, and so it was really nice to see that follow up in this episode that she gets to fly, though she was not good. As most of us aren't good at things that we want to do, and piloting a big ship would probably not be easy. But basically, the girls hijack one of the Imperial shuttles, and that's how they blast the cannons because of Chopper. We knew right away that wasn't going to work out because first of all, he's just so noisy. They're probably the worst droid to put in if you're trying to be incognito. So yeah, the girls basically had to take the situation in their own hands, grab a ship, blow up the cannons, much to the Bad Batch's disbelief, and that's how they were able to get the upper hand.
Right. And Brandon, I'll go back to you in a second, but I like I said a couple of episodes ago, Tech actually has grown on me, and he's kind of the comedy relief for me. I love it when he comes flying in and she's like, "Are we doing good?" He goes, "Yes, your completely erratic and dangerous flying is confusing them as much as it is us." Right? Did you like that? Did you get a kick out of that?
I like that line, and I was like, wow, he said something that didn't piss me off.
Fair enough. Well, I tell you, what was it, a couple episodes ago when he said, it was last episode. He's like, "What feeling?" That's when I just woosawed that Tech was just going to be that guy. And once I let go of my expectations, he's actually turning out to be okay. I'm still disappointed with Echo, and we could talk about that for hours. Bailey, I see you up there. I commiserate with you, girl. What the heck? But yeah. So, and my other favorite, Brandon, Chopper, or not Chopper, Wrecker on the cannons. What'd you think of that, man?
I loved it. He was surprised because, Tech was flying and he basically hit the nitrous, and Wrecker was completely surprised, and he was like, "Whoa!" And he loved it. And he's just blowing stuff up. He likes to blow stuff up. So I whenever Wrecker gets to do his thing and laughs the whole time, that was pretty enjoyable.
Right. And then when he jams on the brakes and spins it around, Wrecker's like on a Disneyland ride back there. It was so much fun to watch. I got a kick out of it. Oh, sorry. But that Dunium factory attack was meant to be a diversion. And sure enough, all the clones are loading up and they're starting to fly out. And here's where it pays to have somebody who was previously on the team, on the bad guys now, because Crosshair stops. And he's like, "Wait a minute. What the heck's going on here?" And by then they've already, the other half of the team's already broken in to go get the Syndulla clan. And Hauser Ballast is in there and is trying to decide. That's his new name, by the way, Brandon. I'm going to call him Hauser Ballast.
I love it.
Oh, yeah. You know what? Actually, G4, he did at least get one line. Do you get, Bailey, did you catch that at least when he's climbing up the wall?
Yes, the one line that I don't even remember the line. Like, that's just how.
A little help here? Yeah.
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 Poor guys.
Yeah. You know what? Since we're on the topic, let's just talk about that very briefly. Bailey, right back to you. I think I have an idea of what your answer is, but this was what we got from Echo this episode. In general, once again, give us your thoughts on what's going on with Echo and how they're using that character.
I'm so tired. Like at this point, it's like, you know what? We are how many episodes in? How many episodes are we in? And
12. Yeah.
12. And this poor man who has been through horrific things that we spent quite a bit of time getting in season 7, and he has just been nothing but essentially an R2-D2. So I'm just, even though we had that Raxus bit where we saw a little bit of characterization with Echo, that's literally all we've gotten in 12 episodes. And and I know we're running out of time with this show. So at least, this first part, if it is to continue, it's disappointing. It really is disappointing. Yeah. And I know I'm not the only one that feels this way. I think everyone's just been waiting and waiting and waiting for Echo to have a bigger part and for him to feel like I still don't feel that he fits in with the Bad Batch because, as Brendan and I have talked about, their dynamic doesn't really feel like a team most of the time. Like I still firmly believe that only 2 or 3 of them have good dynamic and the rest of them are just kind of there as needed. And Echo falls into that where they're, he's there for pure convenience and it just drives me insane. And I guess I got to stop putting my hopes up, I guess. It's just very disappointing. Because again, it's like, what was the whole point of rescuing Echo then if you're not going to use him?
Right. You know what, Brandon? I want to get your thoughts on that, but G-Force has got to give R2-D2. Even R2-D2 had more character development than Echo did, right?
R2-D2 is a droid. This is a human being.
Exactly.
Like a droid.
Yeah. Right. And that's an excellent point, G-Force, because even R2-D2 we felt more for and got more character development, and he's a droid. So, Brandon, really quick, I think you and Bailey probably agree on this, but what are your thoughts on what they're doing with Echo in this show so far?
I was honestly so upset, and we were sitting there and I couldn't even remember what the line he said was, which was why I was saying earlier, it is too bad that we've got this character. And I understand that, we've already gotten to see a lot of what Echo has done in the Clone Wars, and instead of putting more time on Echo, they're putting time on other things, but they're not putting enough time on the Bad Batch still. And it like we'll keep saying, it's continuously we are thinking about the things around the Bad Batch, like Bailey says. It's I was more excited to see Chopper and Hera than I was, to
anything Echo did. Yeah.
Yeah. And it is too bad. So hopefully, and we'll keep saying this until it either happens or doesn't happen, hopefully we get to see something with Echo.
Yeah, that would be nice. But I had forgotten about the line. He's like, a little help here, and then the guy, and they knock him out. But so I don't think, you know what? Hold that's really quick. Thanks for, whoa. All right. Take care, Mando. Thanks for stopping by, man. I appreciate it. You know what? John says something. I'm okay with the way they do each of the characters. It's enough for me. 3 episodes are only these episodes are only 25 minutes long. And we've all agreed in the past, correct me if I'm wrong, Bailey and Brandon, that because of limited time, we're getting some things truncated. But they've, to argue with John a little bit, they've gone around and they've given us a good, meaty, dose of each of the characters so far, and even to the point where Tech is just going to be that guy who's going to say things that are just either are going to piss Brandon off or I'm going to get a kick out of, one of the two. But Echo, and so I'm with you guys. You know what I'm saying? And I get John's point, but they could do a little something. Bailey, I see you got something on your mind.
Yeah, and Rebels and Clone Wars, those were also half-an-hour episodes, and they accomplished. I mean, those episodes in terms of characterization blows this stuff out of the water. So it's, as we've said before, and I'll say it every episode if I need to, it can be done. The
Mhm.
frustration is they're not doing it, and we don't understand why.
Right. And I think if it was just some clone that they'd picked up, like CT 4556 or whatever, and he was part of the Bad Batch, maybe I could see it. But Echo is an iconic character from an iconic arc, and I don't think they're doing him justice. I'm going to back you guys up on this one. So I think you guys are not crazy that in any fashion. But anyway, once again, hopefully we'll see something better from Echo soon, or we won't, like Brandon said. But so half the team makes it in. We get that little thing from Echo, and they go in and they find the Syndulla clan. Meanwhile, the Admiral,
Rampart.
Thank you. I just spaced his name. Sends Ballast Hauser, and he's like, "Hey, go get this under control." And of course, Crosshair stays with his squad. He's like, "No, something's going on here." So, the funny thing is, Ballast Hauser runs back down to the cell, and he has an exchange with Cham Syndulla about whether or not he can trust him and who he's trying to predict. Do you know what I'm talking about here, Brandon?
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk a little bit about that? Because, man, he was doing like this, and then as soon as all this started happening, he just fell off the deep end of Screw the Empire.
Yeah, and he, I'm remembering more of what he said to the other clones, but he, go ahead, Paul.
Oh, okay. Because he's basically, no, it's okay. He's telling Cham, "Hey, look, I know that I told you to trust me last time and this didn't work out, but I'm trying to save your daughter."
Yeah.
You remember that? And I was like, yes. Bailey, you remember that scene obviously too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what did you think of him suddenly just going, "You know what? I'm going to throw caution to the wind and tell Cham what I'm trying to do here"?
It didn't surprise me because, again, this was something they kind of alluded to in the last episode where he's like, "I'm not going to shoot this girl. She's a child." And it's definitely, the clones were always pretty protective of, if they had, like Ahsoka, for example, if they worked with a young, kid, they would, kind of do anything for them. So it didn't surprise me when he's like, "You know what, like, forget this. Like, if, I feel this kid is in danger, I'm going to do what needs to be done to protect this kid." So that did not surprise me at all. That is very much, and it just, again, it's because he's acting like the clones that we grew to love in the Clone Wars. That is something they would definitely do.
Mm-hmm. I'm kind of surprised to hear G-Force say that, because I didn't get the impression that he was being duplicitous at all when he was talking to Cham. Brandon, do you agree with G-Force, or are you closer to no, that didn't shock you?
I never got the notion that he was, a sketchy person. Mm-hmm. Like, I know some people were just like, "I don't trust it," but I mean, from the very beginning, he was, putting his neck out there for Hera, and he was questioning what the Empire was doing. And so when it came to this, I wasn't surprised at all that this is where they went with him, because the whole time you can do it. And actually, when he's having that conversation with Cham, he the clone music plays, the clone theme plays, and it's like, okay, he's not going to turn his back on them. He's not going to flip sides or anything like that. So I never got that feeling.
I agree with you too. So before we move on to him staving off disaster with this rescue effort, I want to ask you guys a question. It was right after this scene that I realized, although the Bad Batch was in this episode, this episode was not about the Bad Batch. This was about Ballast Hauser and Omega and Hera. Bailey, do you agree with me on that, or am I nuts?
Oh, no, you are absolutely right. And honestly, for what we're about to talk about, it was this moment that was like, I have been waiting for this moment to like happen. I don't know if you want me to go ahead and elaborate if we were at that part yet, but yeah, this was kind of like a scene that I've been waiting for since the very beginning of the show. Right. Because basically Hauser tries to reach out to these troopers, like, hey, like, this isn't like, trying to reason with them, like, hey, don't you see that what's going on isn't right? Trying to reason with them. And that's something I've been wanting the Bad Batch themselves to do when it comes to, trying to rationalize with these clones. Like when they were trying to get Crosshair's chip out, it was like they were only speaking to Crosshair, not to the rest of the clones in general. Yeah. But where Hauser was like, that's why I don't like this whole regs business and whatnot, because I think it's quite, it's almost derogatory, I think. But yeah. I have been waiting for a clone to have that brother, to act like a brother. And that's exactly what happened, is Hauser did really, and he did end up successfully connecting with them and to get them to drop their weapons. But that was, I think, the biggest thing about this episode, is seeing a clone trying to connect with other clones that are basically puppets of the Empire.
That's an excellent way to put that. Brandon, would you agree with me also that this episode was about Ballast Hauser and then the side mission of Omega and Hera?
Yeah, but at the same time, I think the way that Omega helps Hunter and the Bad Batch realize that it's their responsibility to help when people need it, basically because like she's trying to get to her family. I do the same thing for you guys. Mm-hmm. I think that's one of the things that they did with the Bad Batch that they did well with this episode. And there were a couple comments that that John was saying. The Echo has been in there since they started the clones with Heavy and Fives and Rex with the ARC troopers, and that's what I'm saying is it's not just a couple ARCs. He is one of their, like you're saying, he's basically one of the most important clones we've seen, and that is not what we're seeing from this. Right. He is not given the same respect as Rex or any of the other characters. Like, I mean, Fives was killed in the Clone Wars, and he even got more of a mention in this season than Echo has been given anything. So that's yeah, I don't know. And then what David just said.
Let's get down here. Oh, there you go. That one.
Hauser has more personality than most of them, and
Yep. So, and that, you know what, Brandon, I think you make an excellent point. I was probably looking at, although Bailey agreed with me, and I do agree with her on that. I think I was looking at this a little too simplistically. There's a little bit more, like you said, Omega and Hera and her relationship with the Bad Batch, trying to humanize them a little bit. Hey, if we're not here for that, then what are we here for? That's a good point, Brandon. So that does burnish the edges a little bit for me, as opposed to, once again, the Bad Batch just being cameos in their own TV show. So Bailey jumped ahead just a little bit because we're going to get to what you were talking about, but I thought that was an excellent time to bring that up. But Hauser finally has had enough, and he doesn't want this to continue anymore. So he knows that they're walking out into an ambush, because by now we see Crosshair and like a squad of troopers are waiting outside the door for him. So he runs off and does this. Bailey, what's going on here really quick? And what'd you think of that?
Ooh, sorry, I'm like blanked out there for a second.
That's okay.
Because it's probably like, yeah. Okay. So, at this point, like the Seduas are still like very, they're still very cautious around Hauser. Because their whole point with Hauser, when he was, trying to get them to give up information about Hera, is they're like, I don't know if we can trust you. We trusted you with Ryloth, and you are working for these guys anyways. So I think that was a pretty good tie-in as to why this moment coming up is so significant. Is he is clearly demonstrating that his loyalty is truly with them and for the good of Ryloth rather than the Empire. And so him walking out into essentially an ambush and getting him to plead with these clones, I think was a really huge defining moment for not only him, but for the Syndulas as well, to show that, hey, this guy is a genuine person who has all the right intentions. He just happened to have been caught in a very not the best situation, and he's, trying to make amends with them. And that's how the clones, and again, it just reminds me so much as to how the clones were in the Clone Wars, like when it came to like their brothers and their Jedi, is they really will go all out to prove that, no, like, I am with you, and this was it, like showing Hera's parents that, no, I am with you guys, and even if I die doing this, like, I'm gonna try to plead with these guys because they are just like me, and maybe, just maybe, I can reach out to them. Maybe.
I agree. Brandon, did it shock you that he went and basically committed treason and told them, don't go out there, go that way, and I'll take care of this?
No, like I said, the whole time from when we've seen him, he's given people second chances. He's stuck his neck out for Hera and the Syndulas because, and I went back and I looked to, he's a character new for this, but if he was on Ryloth, he would have been with Cham and Mace Windu during the Clone Wars. Oh. So when Lefkos is asking about the scars and stuff like that with Ballast Hauser, that makes me laugh. I'm sorry. They have to show. I mean, Ryloth was a heavily contested planet and system during the Clone Wars. And we get to see them riding blurgs and, fighting against the droids and stuff like that. So I just think it's a way to show, because we didn't see him in the Clone Wars, it's a way to show that he went through that same kind of, war zone that these other characters that we do know have.
I'm glad you brought that up because I was going to ask you, but Brandon, I think you just answered. We'll stick with you for just a second. Left Coast is stuck on the fact that he has scars. And because he has scars, there has to be a reason why Feloni gave him scars. I think you just hit it. Didn't you just say because they're trying to show that he was there?
Yeah.
And he was during that. Yeah. Does that sound reasonable to you, Bailey, that that's why they may have done that, to show that he was in the trenches with these people on Ryloth?
It would definitely make the most sense. Yes. Because just the way the scars are, those are obviously like battle scars. He has quite a few on his face. So, and it's as Brandon said, Ryloth was kind of a huge win. That makes absolute perfect sense.
Okay. We're going to pause for just a second because Scuba Pete's in the house. Most popular guy on YouTube that doesn't have a YouTube channel. Love it. Good to see you. Thanks for stopping by, Pete. I appreciate it, brother. So he warns him off, and then Bailey, you've touched on it a couple of times. So we'll head over to Brandon on this one really quick. Let me pull up what happened here, because this was one of there's a few scenes throughout this show that have kind of hit me. And how did I lose it? Am I blind? I'm going blind, you guys. I really am. Oh, here we go. Don't ever get old, guys.
We're already blind. So
yeah, I was going to say, yeah. That is the one thing the three of us have in common for sure, except for you two are smart enough to go get glasses. But anyway, Brandon?
Yeah.
Bailey touched on it. What's going on here? What was going through your head and your heart when you saw this?
Yeah, I mean, the clones are ready for the doors to open and there to be a big group of Twileks and the Bad Batch there. And it's just Hauser, and he comes out and he even sets his weapon down. And he's like, I'm not here to fight with you guys. We fought for Ryloth. What we're doing right now is not fighting for Ryloth. Like that's as simply as I can put it, is he comes out and tells them what we're doing right now is not what we were meant to do. Like, we fought and helped free Ryloth, and now we're basically doing the opposite. So he's like, I'm not gonna fight you. I'm not gonna, fight for this. And just sets his weapon down. And he's like, are you with me? And like Bailey has said, he really reached out and connected to them because they are probably feeling a lot of the same things. Where we don't get to see how every clone reacts to this, but I mean, some of them have to be feeling like, hey, we just helped free these people and now we're locking them up. Like it really has to be weighing on them. So it was nice to see that some of them did change over, and then also at the same time, not every single one of them dropped their shield and their weapons. so I liked this scene was pretty powerful, and I thought it was definitely the highlight of the episode. And at this point, it's one of the highlights of the whole season, and it really it is really impressive that they made a clone that was created for the show that we haven't seen be more impactful than any of the members of the title
crew. Yeah. Brandon, I have a question for you, but before we go to that question, I wanted to point out something. I don't think that's the reason, but John makes a good point here. Hauser was assigned to the Syndulla family during the Republic, so when Order 66 went off, that's another theory. He imprinted on Syndulla, so anybody against Syndulla is the enemy. That's an interesting fan theory.
I mean, Cody was with Kenobi, and Rex was with Anakin and Ahsoka the whole war. So I mean, right? I don't know. Yeah, I think we can throw logic out of the window when it comes to the chips and stuff like that. I think
exactly. But before we go back over to Bailey, you said something, Brandon. I want to ask you a question on that. Only some of the clones dropped their shields and said, "I'm not going with this." I thought this is the pivotal moment when this whole group of clones is like, yeah, this is wrong, but only some of them. Were you shocked that it wasn't all of them, or did you expect it to be only some of them?
No, I definitely thought only some of them would do it. And I thought that Crosshair was going to start taking out the people that put their shield down. When he said arrest them, I was like, oh, thank God, because I thought Hauser was going to get just sniped right there. Like, just finish that. Yeah, no more ballast Hauser. But it does make it more complicated, and it makes it so it's that, does their brain chemistry change the way that the chip activated? Because we've seen it where even, like, we've talked about the clone commanders being with a Jedi, and does that affect Order 66? Well, I mean, we've seen Wrecker freak out on the rest of the Bad Batch and Omega just because they weren't, they were against what the orders were.
Mm-hmm.
So they make it hard.
It's a mess.
Yeah, it's an interesting way to do it. You can really put whatever your spin on it you want. Bailey, did it shock you that not all of them went, or did you kind of what you expected?
Honestly, I was surprised that any of them dropped their weapons.
Oh.
I really thought that he was just gonna get shot by like everyone in the room. I was not expecting that, because up to this point, we've just been led to believe that any clone that's underneath that armor is like going to be completely compliant. So even though I was like, wow, I'm really happy to see him trying to plead with these guys, I truly thought they were just going to shoot him.
Right.
And that would have been like a tragic, like, oh yeah, okay, they can't be reasoned with. But yeah, I was really, and I'm glad that they did, but I was surprised that any of them dropped their weapon.
Fair enough. I believe under those circumstances, if they had shot him, the proper term is blastificate. I thought they were going to blastificate him. That's the proper term for that, just so you know. But as you can see, Linda's on your team on that one. You know what? In G-Force, we've given up trying to explain that. Why wouldn't they obey their commander? I just work here, man. You know what I'm saying? I don't even know anymore.
Just work here.
I just work here, bro. What's going on in the mind of Feloni? There's another one of Bailey's favorite topics. We could, am I right, Bailey? We could go for hours. Yeah. the hat of stories. And so many other people. I thought for sure, man, they were going to just be like, "Oh, you think so, huh?" But
shame.
Right, exactly. And I thought it was Crosshair. I thought, well, here we go. Brandon, he's going to blow his helmet off, and it's going to Jango fed his head with it. So
pew pew. Yep.
Yeah, pew pew. Yes. Blastificate is a real word. I just wanted to point out to you guys. Okay, it's a thing.
I did not know that.
Thought Crosshair was going to shoot him up dead. Pew, pew, pew. That's an old movie. What has got John's got it. It's really showing there are no clones or stormtroopers by episode 4. Some start refusing. Yeah. Did I talk about that before we got in, guys? Where I said I think that's a plot device to get rid of the clones. Okay. Yeah. And that's why, because of people volunteer, theoretically, they're less likely to rebel against the system as opposed to these poor bastards. So, but you're right. So they arrest Hauser and the other clones and take them away. And the team with the Syndulas blasts off to the hideout, back to the Batcave. You guys remember that, right? Or am I dating myself? Okay, I just want to make sure.
You're good.
Okay, good. All right, cool. You guys are my people. You're my nerds. So I know you've seen the old 1966 Batman series, right? So,
yep.
So they get the Syndulas back, and there's two more things I want to talk about before we go into the goods and the bads. And Brandon, I'll start off with you on this one. We get this. What did you think of their final parting there, and did it go the way you thought it was going to go?
I'm trying to remember because basically what I remember is Hera saying that Tech taught her how to scramble the ship's identity, and then her mom's like, well, let's see how well you can do that. But for whatever reason, this scene itself is just blanking on me.
It's all good. Well, that's the perfect answer. That's actually the perfect answer. Bailey, I'll go to you and I'll tell you why I think that's the perfect answer. What did you think of them parting ways here, how they did that?
I mean, it was honestly just very, very touch and go. It was definitely, I don't think it lasted any more than a minute. It was basically like, all right, Hera, let's go. And, Omega being like, do you have to go? And Hera's like, yes, I have to go. And that was essentially the dialogue.
Thank you.
And that's all that happened. Okay. Which again, I think it's funny how sometimes Star Wars dialogue cracks me up because it's like, yeah, of course they're going to go because they're in danger, and for her to be like, do you have to go? Anyway, but that's pretty much, that's all that happened was just them saying goodbye. And or did Omega get, you know what? She was giving her funny looks in the last episode, so I wouldn't be surprised. I think
she's weird.
She's weird. I like her.
Yeah, she's weird. I like her. Okay, so Brandon, you know why it's blanking out on you, because there was nothing there except for this one comment, which Bailey touched on. Tell me what you. All right, she's been a badass guerrilla fighter this whole episode, Omega. She's seen the danger this whole family is in. The whole episode was get him out of danger. And then she has the gall to ask her, do you have to go? Would you please explain to me why? Why, Brandon? Why would she ask her that?
I don't know. She wants a friend.
Maybe she start acting like one, okay?
Yeah, I only knew each other a day. Do you have to go? So, Bailey, I think you put it best on this one, because sometimes Star Wars dialogue, I don't like sand. It gets in my fingers and my toes, and somehow or another, Emperor Palpatine returned. And do you have to go? It's like, okay, I just can't even. I just can't even sometimes with the dialogue.
And you would think, that would be like a moment that they would want to hit home, and it just kind of. Right. It's like, okay, bye. It
was like a soap bubble. It was out there. It's beautiful. You think it's going to go great, and boop, and that was it. I'm like, that's it. You have to. Oh my god. Okay, fair enough. Let's answer Gilster's question here. So now, what's going to happen to Hauser, Brandon? Are they going to kill him, or are they going to mess with his ship? What do you think is going to happen? And do you think we'll see it? Do you think we'll see it?
I honestly don't know. I don't know unless we come back to Ryloth again. I don't know if we need to see Hauser again. I don't know why they would it sucks that we don't know what exactly is going to happen to him, but story wise, I don't know if it needs to be told. Bailey,
I see you up there nodding your head. You think we're done with Hauser and we're not going to see or what's going to happen to him after this, right?
I think so. I think it's like Brandon said, that, story wise, even though the story or the plot of the show isn't the most consistent, I don't really see them really spending time on it. And also, it is in pure Star Wars tradition that any side character that's very intriguing and that you want to get to know more, they ain't coming back. They're not coming back. So,
and if they do, they're going to underuse them like Echo, right?
Yeah. So it's I guess it's just kind of the whole Jedi rule of not being attached. Don't get too attached because something's gonna happen to them and you're never gonna see them again. So, and if you do see them again, become like that. Oh, I guess.
Right? Yeah, no doubt. So first of all, there's Mogu. Good to see you. And I don't think anyone else has hugged Omega that we've seen. Am I wrong, guys?
Probably because she calls him weird. I'm just kidding. I don't think so.
Brandon's got his thinking face on.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if at some point, like when they rescue her, if she hugs Hunter at all. That's the only person that, I mean, she's been up on Wrecker's shoulders and stuff like that. But I don't.
We have discussed these are not touchy-feely people one bit.
Right.
No.
Yeah, no doubt. And of course, right back to what we were talking about, John. Yeah, dialogue is sometimes a weakness. Yeah, that's the other one. JT, they fly now. You guys have seen them fly. Oh my God. Some of the dialogue.
Jet troopers exist. Mandalorians exist.
Right. They fly now. Yeah.
Sorry.
It's like the people writing Star Wars have never watched Star Wars before.
Well, yeah, here we go. John's got a good, but it happens in a lot of shows and some scenes. You wonder if the writer of that scene had any idea what happened before. Do you have to go? Yeah, bitch, did you just see what we went through? Yeah, we got to go.
Not like we want to stick around.
It doesn't really make a lot of sense.
Oh my God. I don't even get it. And that's it for Hauser.
I mean, that typically happens to good people as they get murdered.
Right. That's the theme and start. Either that or we turn them into French fries, one of the two. So, so the other thing that I wanted to talk about is we get the other side's ending scene. And Brandon, let's go to you. You remember what happened here, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah.
The conversation. What did you think of this one?
It was kind of confusing because it was basically like, basically how could we let him get away, and Crosshair is just like permission to hunt him down, and it's like, didn't this already happen once before? Yeah. And Rampart's like, yes, you totally get to, and it's like, okay, what about when you had all the resources and you almost had him captured, but then you crispified your own face? Like, was that not trying to hunt him down?
Right.
Yeah. So
oh yeah, it's they have been trying to hunt him down the whole time. Bailey, what did you think of this scene?
This was just like the dialogue in the last one where I literally sat there and I literally told after Crosshair was like, permission to hunt them down. I was like, shut up. Isn't that what you've been doing this whole time? That's what you've been doing since day one, sir? And you failed. So for him to come up here and be like, permission to hunt them down. Did you need permission beforehand? And for him to just be like, I was just like, oh my God, drama kings in the house.
Right. I just thought this was a really failed attempt to try and get the audience to understand that now it's serious.
Now it's serious.
Right. Now I really mean it. I'm going to get both sides of my head burned because I'm down for the cause just now. I was like, so great episode. Both endings that we see from both groups. I'm like, what the hell? Who's writing?
Well, I will say, though, the Bad Batch talking to Hera's parents was not bad. Like, they were ready to pay the Bad Batch. And Hunter said, you keep it. You're going to need it for, what's coming ahead. Like, these people aren't going to stop. Your fight's not over. So I did like that part of it, which is why that part stuck out to me. And the other, Omega and Hera, it was just like, okay, bye, friend. Do you have to go? Yeah. They're going to kill us if we don't.
I kind of have no choice, but okay.
Right. But now that you asked, maybe we will stay. Oh my God. So there's an excellent compare and contrast, Brandon. I'm glad you brought that up, because when the dialogue that Hunter is involved in is the best part of the ending, the competition was weak. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Yeah, I know that. Oh, so Disney creators invited Lucasfilm. It's too late. Yeah, boy, tell me about it. And then this was my favorite. And I think sometimes some of what we're seeing suffers from this. I cannot believe That's a whole nother 2-hour stream, you guys. She had the gall to go. There's no source material. We don't have 300-page book to go. Oh, you want to talk about upsetting some people? But anyway, yeah. JT, when they escaped Crosshairs again, I was like Wile E. Coyote. That poor guy. You know what? Let me ask you guys a question. I want your opinion on something, and then we'll move on to the goods and the bads. Bailey, let's start with you. Overall, as a character, what are your thoughts on Crosshair?
I don't like him. I mean, to put it simply, I don't. And and it's not because he's like a villain or anything like that. It's just because, just like he suffers the same syndrome for me as the rest of the Bad Batch does. Is he has not done anything to get me to like root for him or to like wonder about him. Even as and somebody reminded me of this when I even back in the season 7 of Clone Wars when they were rescuing Echo, he would make really rude comments like, well, we can leave him behind. He's just a reg. Like, he has no respect for other clones. And yes, I don't want to hear that this is in their point of view. It's like, it's still like a rude thing to say. But I've never liked him. And you can like a villain. There are villains that I like, but he is just like, he's not doing it for me. And I just, like I said, that last piece of dialogue was extremely hilarious to me because it's like, I literally thought that's what you've been doing this whole time. So why are permission? He doesn't do it for me.
Brandon, I'm going to get to you on this same question, but first of all, there's my wife, so I got to sit up straight and behave. It's always good to see you, Sarah. Code Gamma is our local code for the SWAT team sniper to take the shot the minute you can get it. You no longer need authorization from the incident commander. So what she's trying to say there is, what this guy is only allowed to shoot at certain. What the heck was he doing? The whole time, right? So, was it a code Gamma all day, only for a few hours? What the hell? Sarah, first of all, is here, and second of all, made a comment that is appropriate to what we're talking about, guys. And she hasn't even seen the episode because she doesn't care. So good for you, girl.
Smart like that.
She is, yeah. And if she wasn't, I don't want to die soon, Bailey. So I'm just going to agree with you. Yeah. She's very smart.
Brandon, she's got weapons.
Yes, that's been well established for sure. But Brandon, speaking of weapons, Crosshair, what are your thoughts on that character thus far?
It's been upsetting because so many people right away were like, oh, well, he's an a-hole, like right from the beginning. But there were so many instances where you could tell that he didn't want to be doing what he was doing. And part of that got thrown away when his chip got cranked up to 11. But because, I mean, early on, he like when he first started going after Kanan, after he did that, there were times where he was like sitting there and you could tell that he was contemplating, what he was doing. You could tell he was miserable. And that kind of got thrown away by this. And now he's just kind of like an attack dog that's like, hunt him out. Like there was a point in this episode where I had a hard time telling if he was trying to think and be in their shoes of what they were doing, or if he was thinking about the Bad Batch themselves and if what they were doing was right. Because there was that moment of like, oh, I realize they're attacking the refinery because they're doing something else. But then the look that he had when he was kind of looking around was I thought completely different.
Oh,
it was like a self-searching, like thinking, like,
what do I want to do about this? Who do I want to? Whose team am I on type of thing? Okay.
Yeah, and that's what I thought, which I found interesting, because I am starting to think that maybe he's not as evil as we're thinking him.
Okay. Well, you know what? Let me ask you guys one more question before we move on. Then, Brandon, let's go right back to you since you've got that fresh in your mind. Do we see a redemption arc for Crosshair before the end of this season? Like, does he turn to the good side or whatever? Do you think? What do you think? Oh, stumped him, Bailey.
I don't know, because I'm guessing this is going to be a multiple season thing now, just the way that it's slowly played out. So I don't know if we'd see that this season. because there are things, especially when you've taken a couple episodes to do something on Ryloth, because I mean, what we have 13, 14, 15, we have 4 episodes left after this, right?
Brandon, are you sure you're in education? Did you have to count on your fingers just now?
I do that too.
Oh, okay.
It's a tool, Paul. They're there for us to use.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, the future of your youth being molded by Brandon and Bailey. Just kidding.
But it would be hard for me to think that they can wrap up now anything, because if it does feel like they left something unresolved with the Syndulla family and Hauser, because I still thought that we'd see Hera's mom die. Like, that was the thing that I expected this episode, that I was just like,
right,
holy, it didn't happen. So that's something that I was surprised about, but happy that it didn't. But at the same time, I was like, well, now are we going to see this somewhere down the line? And 4 episodes, depending on how they do it. I mean, obviously, if they're going to have it be Crosshair is 100% putting all of his effort into finding them, I could see it where they could wrap up this little bit of a story. But there's still that we want to see the transition to the Empire more, and the transition away from the clones. And if it's 4 episodes and they go boom, 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 and they do these things, I don't think that gives us enough time to wrap that up.
Okay. Bailey, and as you guys can see in the comments, it's pretty much 50-50. Some people like Crosshair, some, like David, he's kind of boring, but Brandon, what you say makes sense. And I think, you made some good points there, but Bailey, I'll go to you. Do you think we see a redemption arc for Crosshair by the end of this season, or if it's one season, this show?
No, and if I were to be completely honest, I would say he's not deserving. Not that redemption arcs are done well in Star Wars, but I just don't think he would deserve one. Like literally,
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm sorry, I murdered so many people in my lifetime. Oh, and I'm so sorry. That's
right, yeah.
redemption in Star Wars. But I think what separates Crosshair for me and someone like Darth Vader is just Crosshair hasn't done anything to me, done anything to where I feel like he would be deserving of one. Take Darth Vader, Anakin Skywalker. He was a good person. He started off as a good person that did good things in his life before turning to the dark side. And that part of him was always inside. Where, with Crosshair, from the moment we met him, he was always this standoffish, kind of cold guy. And like I said, he addressed Echo as, he's just a rag. So he's not, he just didn't really seem to have a lot of respect and compassion for others. So, him being a villain made sense to me. It's no different than, Palpatine was evil from the get-go. That's just how some characters are. So it's if Crosshair was a Rex or Cody or something, where he acted like a normal clone and was, selfless and did good things, and then this happened to him with the chip where it was something out of his control, then I would be like, yes, he deserves a redemption arc. But I think, to me, a redemption arc means it's someone who would be deserving of that, and Crosshair has not shown that for me. And I think that's why we see a 50-50 here going on. Is the chip thing wasn't his fault, but before any of that even happened, he was still kind of an ass, and he didn't really do anything to show that he was a nice guy. So why would I be rooting for that? Where with Darth Vader, now that we know who Anakin Skywalker was, and I guess some people could say that with Kylo Ren too. He was once Ben Solo.
Right.
That to me is people deserving of a redemption arc, and I think that would be applicable to other characters like Asajj Ventress. Was trained as a Jedi before she turned to the dark side, and then she redeemed herself. And then, Barasafi was a Jedi healer, and before things happened, all of those characters started off off as like these good people, and then something happened to cause them to go down a different path. And that's where I'm like, redemption is like something we would like to see, even though redemption arcs aren't done well in Star Wars, in my opinion. But Crosshair hasn't done that for me.
That makes sense. I never thought about it that way. Redemption means, that's redeem, and you have to have had something to, to get it back. So that's a good point, Bailey. I never thought about it that way. Really quick, maybe we'll get lucky, you guys. Linda's like, hopefully we'll get a 2-hour finale and we'll get shocked. Who knows? I mean, it wouldn't be the first time they've shocked us in this series, right, Brandon?
Yeah, right.
Oh, you know what? And David, I agree with you. They've been keeping the quality kind of high. Do you guys agree?
I'd even say the last 5 episodes or so, we've been consistently rating the episodes higher over these past 5-ish.
Yeah, I wish I'd been keeping track of that, because now I don't. I don't remember. But yeah, at least for the last few, for sure. So, and Bailey, there you go. Good point of redemption arcs, and that's what that was. And John says redemption is possible, but I suspect they will challenge our expectations by not doing it to keep him villainous. And
I'm glad I was asked this, because I think people misinterpret what it means to have a redemption arc. And in a literary term, redemption arc involves taking someone who was aligned in the good and bringing them back to the good. You can't redeem someone who was never there in the first place.
Excellent. You know what? That's an excellent point. I love the way you put that. So thank you.
Yes.
And of course, David, the last two were the best so far in his opinion. Once again, because the Bad Batch were cameos are non-existent in their own show. You guys have said it 100 times. The things going on around the Bad Batch are the things we're most interested in right now. So, so you guys know where we go from here. That's pretty much the end of the episode, and we're left waiting to see what's going to happen next episode. But before we move on to the goods and the bads, Brandon, this episode and this episode only, what number 1 to 10 would you give this one?
8. I don't think it was quite as good as the last one. I still loved it. But it, yeah, 8.5.
Okay.
Just because of Hauser. And Hauser alone brings it up, another, maybe even, I'm not going to say it's a 9 because I didn't find it as good as the last one, but I still thought it was in that 8 to 9 area, just because it was.
Okay. And before I go over to Bailey, for you guys that are in the chat with us, if you'd like, we'd love to hear your number on this one, 1 to 10. And if you feel like it, maybe throw in a sentence or two explaining why you're at that number, especially if it's like really low or really, really high. I'd love to hear from you guys in the chat as well. So Bailey, we're over to you. This episode only 1 to 10. Where are you at, ma'am?
I would say like a 7, because I'm going with Brandon. Like, really the biggest highlight for me in that episode was the whole Hauser bit. As happy as I was to see Chopper and Hera and all that, and as much as I'm happy that another Star Wars mother didn't die on screen and whatnot.
Yeah, sorry.
I'm knocking on wood. Anyway, as much as I'm glad that certain things didn't happen, that was really it. It was, I was able to kind of predict where things were going. And there was really nothing else of significance that happened besides the whole Hauser bit. So that's why I'm just going to put it as kind of a middle of the road average 7. I definitely like the one before more. Okay.
So pretty much like what you guys are saying is kind of a standard rescue plot with a little bit of moral conundrum and, what else was I going to say? Thrown in for good taste. But yeah, I don't think you guys are crazy. I think that's about right. I was like a 7.5, 8 on this one as well. So we'll go over to the comments here. JT, that's cheating. 8.2. But right in line with you guys. David, strong 8. Yeah, I don't agree with you. There's Gilster, 8.5. Yeah. You know what? Linda, you and I agree once again, 8.5. I was a little lower, but this one did have some more pew pew bang bang, but I still want more because when they came in, when Brandon, you talked about it, when they were in the ship and Tex driving this thing like he stole it, and Wrecker's in the back going, hold it still so I can shoot. I thought that was one of the best scenes as far as comedy and fun in the episode. Am I crazy on that, Brandon?
No, and just it was more chaotic than we've seen. The last episode that had a bit of action in it was very strategic.
Oh,
it would like with the clones on Raxus. Like I know we had the canyon chase, but I feel like that wasn't as actiony as the Raxus episode, and that was more like a submarine battle basically.
yeah.
So this was more pew pew bang bang. Let's blow some stuff up and distract them, and I thought it was fun. So
I agree. Whoa, Left Coast 6.5. Best part was Echo's one line that was and the Probots. Next week is Hammer Time. Wow, what's the word I used last? Obsessed. Somebody's obsessed with Hammerhead. David, not quite as good as last episode, and I think we, the three of us, agree on that. But I really like Hauser, and I like that they're humanizing the clones, like you talked about, Bailey, earlier. Can't be a 10. We had an episode with Cad Bane and Fennec Shan. Well, right? So there's no way. John, Hauser's speech was good, and he had an impact on a few soldiers, which could be a foreshadowing of how existing clones affect the final episode. And this is what I mentioned earlier. This is why the clones, you can't just tell people you're doing something different now. So I think this one would be an 8. Good. David Smith says Linda cheats, and I'm not sure what that means, but okay, I might have missed something. Oh, hey, David. Anyway, John's gonna. Okay, what is it with the off numbers now? So, John,
point. I want to see your guys' rubrics. What is this?
Wow, Bailey with the big word now. We got earlier. Brandon.
The teacher part of me is just looking at this and be like, "What is constituting a 0.7?"
Well, it's an 8.7, Bailey. Clearly, that's what constitutes it, right? Really quick.
Round that to a 9.
Right, yeah. Round it up, yeah. There's Ish Cardona. Good to see you, man. I appreciate you dropping by. You know what? And Left Coast makes another good point. I thought that Omega's first mission was a pretty important part of the series. Yeah, I like that. But David over here, what is 7? So we're, except for Left Coast, who's always out in left field. Love you, babe. We're between 7s and 8s. Pretty much, you guys seeing that? So yeah, and I'm right in there with it. A good episode. We've had better, but it's definitely not a 3, right, Bailey?
No.
She said no.
You guys would have known if I felt it was a 3 a long time ago. So
yeah.
No.
I can feel the heat coming through the cell phone right after the episode comes out. I'm like,
I don't like that one bit.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure it was the one with the sisters in it too, if I remember correctly. So it's like,
yes. I still remember the day I was watching and I saw those sisters come up and I'm like,
everyone thought that. I got messages like, did you see the episode yet? I'm like not yet. I think I was, still at work and whatnot. And they're like, oh, well, okay, but, just don't get too excited. Everyone was nervous.
Brandon, what were you going to say?
I thought it was the Fennec Shan one where it was the chase through Ord Mantell. I thought that was the low one.
That was
that was low too, but I don't know if it was that low.
No, because I think you even ended up giving the sisters a higher score than the.
Did I?
Yeah,
I think you did.
Yeah, I remember that. You did, yeah. Because the Fennec Shan one was like, we were so disappointed with the way they did it because it was one trope after another.
Oh, yeah.
And then,
we
like,
were in a slump too. Like, that was
yeah.
So it was like, we were like still waiting for the show to kick off. So that would make the most sense. And I think what happened is we went up and then the sisters came and that was like, Feloni got me from behind.
Right. I remember those two sisters showing up and I thought to myself, crap, I don't even know if I want to do the live stream chat. Bailey's face is just going to be red.
Everyone was nervous.
Oh, man.
Proud another table.
Yeah, that's right. I remember that. We first started off with, even my wife was like, go get him, Bailey. It was awesome.
But anyway, yeah, no, it's not a 3.
Okay, good. And then David, I don't know how they're going to beat the last 2 episodes. They've been hanging around in it. What's up?
What was yours?
Mine?
Yeah,
I told you. I told you guys mine was a 7.5, 8.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Remember? Yeah. I'm sorry. I must not have.
Oh.
I probably just squeezed it in there really fast. But yeah.
Okay.
I agree with you guys. Not as good as the last episode because the Bad Batch wasn't in it, and we got to see some cool stuff. But still not bad. Still not bad at all. So, all right, let's do this. Brandon, let's head over to you, my brother. What's the one good thing they did in this episode, or the best thing they did?
Sorry, David's comment. The last 2 episodes. It's 4. I believe there's 16 episodes, so we've still got 4.
I think he's saying I don't know how they're going to beat these last two episodes. Like with the ones coming, they're not going to be able to do any better because these were awesome.
Yep. Okay,
I think.
I see it now.
And if I'm wrong, David, put it in the comments.
No, we're good. We're good. I read that wrong.
Okay. Yeah.
We're good.
Well, now that we're here, JT, I wonder if we'll see a civil war between the clones. Who knows? Okay. Bailey, you asked. See, so here's a 7.7, Paul, and 7.5 to 8, which is the middle. So 7. John,
that's
stop.
Still not like a science.
Hey, it's Star Wars. It's not consistent. Brandon's favorite thing to say. Yeah.
I should know better.
Thanks, G-Force. Right. I appreciate that. Right. So I don't. Where the heck were we? Oh yeah, Brandon was going to tell us what he thought they did well. Yeah.
Okay. I thought. I mean, obviously the Hauser bit was some of the best, but at the same time, I thought the using Hera and her family to then use Omega to stress the importance of family to the Bad Batch was one of the better things too, because we haven't quite seen that where, like, I mean, we've seen it where Hunter and Wrecker are, like, hey, we need to save Omega, but Omega basically was like, hey, I'd do anything for you guys are my brothers. And then they're like, oh crap. Like, I think we're finally going to start getting to the point where they start realizing how important they are to each other. And I think that's what they did good in this episode. Was Hunter was like, Jesus, this girl understands it better than we already do.
Right. And although they're not the same series, they're both on Disney Plus. And Bailey, I know you're not keeping track. I was shocked when Loki is coming back for a second season. I thought it was going to be like the other two that we've seen. It was going to be one season. So I'm beginning to see, Brandon, that you may be right. This may be a multi-season thing as well. Look, and Bailey, Brandon, Paul, good show. Thanks for it. He is dozing off. He's like, I can't get the bat on the rewind. John, good night, man. I appreciate having you. It's entertaining as always, because if you go back, I'm not going to put them all up. We got into a conversation about decimals in the chat. That's where we're at with the Bad Batch right now. So we talk about decimals, Bailey. But with that, what's the best thing they did? The one good thing that you really honed in on this episode?
Oh, I just loved, I just have to go with the Hauser bit, because it's like I said, I've been waiting for a clone to try to communicate with other clones in the way that we were familiar with in the Clone Wars. So I think by far that was the best thing in this episode. But I also really enjoyed, like the little callbacks, like the Princess Leia hologram and, Omega, becoming more of, her own character. I think she has more characterization at this point than the rest of them. With her defending Hera and, putting her foot down and being like, no, this is what we need to do. And her, having those thought-provoking conversations, like, isn't that what soldiers are supposed to do? I thought that was great. And, it just goes to show that, as Brandon and I have mentioned many times, it doesn't take much for those moments to stick out. Sometimes you just need one line and it's like, oh, yes, thank you. So I think they did a really good job there. But by far, the whole Hauser bit that's what made this episode good for me. I
agree with you. The humanization of some of the clones and the mechanical plot device of showing why we have to get rid of said clones for Imperial Stormtroopers was what they did best in this one. Let's see. David, he really dug Hera's accent. I like how it's like she's super French in this one. It's hilarious. Yeah. And then I see G-Force and I agree. She's much less than now that she's not that helpless, hapless, wandering off. Yes, I'd love to take an apple from you, Fennec Shand character that I just wanted to squeeze until her eyeballs popped out. But now that was a little violent. That was a little violent, wasn't it? Okay, sorry, Brandon.
It's all good.
Before we do what we think they could have improved here, are you guys catching this? Do you guys think Omega's accent's been changing? Because I don't think it has. Do you?
I don't know. Then again, I'm not like a linguist by any means, so
I especially not these last couple episodes, because the way she says Hera is Hera.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. I haven't noticed it.
It sounded the same to me the whole time, but then again, and David agrees. Omega's a lot less annoying, not a little lot less. So, Brendan, we'll stick with you. What could they have done? One thing that they could have done that would have improved this up to a 9 for you.
Echo actually doing something. We got to see Hera and Chopper and Hauser and oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm.
We got to see pretty much everybody do something, and Echo once again was left behind. It's to the point where it's like I don't expect him to do anything, and that's really, really sad. So like when he does something, I'm gonna be sitting there, but oh, he did something.
There he is.
So yeah, it's my boy.
That'll be the whole 2-hour episode. Our stream right after Echo does something really significant. We're just gonna talk about that for 2 hours. What do you guys think?
That's gonna make it a 10. That will be the day I give an episode a 10.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, go, Brandon. I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna say. Other than that, I still don't know if they're making Crosshair seem as big of a threat. So
he should have shot Captain Hauser Ballast.
He
should have shot him.
He should have shot Hauser and the other clone troopers that flip sides. Like that would have been like, yeah, like not just like, is it okay if I go hunt him down?
Oh, now you want to be a bad? Yeah, that was the Bailey. I don't mean to trump you here, but since you brought it up, that drove me nuts. I'm like, he's up there, he's pointing at the door. Here comes Ballast Hauser. This is the moment where he says his something, and this is where we see that Crosshair is a badass, and he just blows his head and his helmet off, and it didn't happen. And then, of course, that's what would motivate the clones down below when they start seeing their own bosses and stuff like that. But that's not what we got, and that was disappointing to me. But anyway, I'm sorry. I get off track here. Whoa, hold on, JT. I don't know about great or anything like that. So, yeah, she's all right, but she don't deserve her own fan club. Let's not get overboard there, JT, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Let's not get radical.
Right? Yeah, let's not get radical. Bailey kicking it with some 80s terminology. She's going to call something.
I say that a lot, actually.
Oh, do you really?
like, when someone says, when they have like a hot take or something, I'll be like, "Ooh, let's not get radical."
Yeah.
Beside the point.
Fair enough.
But
you know what? Well, real quick, John makes a point. He risks making Hauser a martyr, so it may have been more expedient to arrest him. Yeah, but for me, the scene, and you're right, John, I agree with you, but the scene would have been much more impactful if he had shot him. Then we'd have known Crosshair is the real deal.
And not to keep Bailey from talking, but I mean, we've seen it before. Yeah, we've seen it before where Crosshair has straight up shot somebody for not following orders. So I think this would have been in more character and to basically show the other clones that no, it's not okay for you not to follow the orders. Like, yeah.
Right. Yeah. The bigger badass he becomes, the less effective he becomes. It's the weirdest thing. I'm sorry, Bailey. We keep interrupting you and getting off track here, but this Crosshair thing is like there's no consistency. So, but what could they have done? What could they have done to improve this episode up to a 9 for you?
Dialogue. Let's double check that dialogue first off. Like, let's make sure everyone's seen every episode and we're all on the same page and we don't say anything ridiculous. So there's that, and gosh, what else? I think that was pretty much it for me in terms of, like, I don't know, like this episode, like it was like an all right episode. I don't think there was really anything they could have done to the story to like really like amp it up for me because it was such a typical like rescue episode. So
right.
That was really like the only thing. It's just and like the whole thing with Crosshair, I'm with you guys there where I was like, that's unusual. Like this guy was killing civilians without second thought, and then now we're hesitating here. It was kind of like how Anakin just killed Count Dooku like that, but then he's like, no, Palpatine needs a trial. And like that's what it reminds me of. It's like, oh, wait, where was this logic a few days ago, sir?
Right.
So that was the only thing that was weird. But besides that, I think of the dialogue and just, y'all know how I feel about the whole Echo thing. Like that's always going to be a consistent thorn in my side of how much I don't appreciate that. And I think Tech just needs to speak less when it comes to like emotional stuff. Like when Hera is begging for help, do not have that guy talk. Like there are 3 other guys in there. Have them be like, I don't know, Mega. Like, there's other avenues to go instead of be like, well, kid is overreacting. Oh, God. Like, just.
So I really hate it when you hold back, Bailey, and you don't tell us how you feel. I'm going to need you to just, let it out a little bit.
But that's what happens when you make me wait. It builds.
Yes, and I love it. I love it because the hilarious thing is I'm on the exact opposite of you as far as tech is concerned. When he said, kids tend to overreact, but I got a kick out of it because I'm like, listen to this idiot again. So I think it's funny at this point because, like I said, someone put it in the comments either, "Whoosah!" I just let go, and now I know who he's going to be, and it's I'm cool with it. So. Wait, do that again, Bailey.
Do what again? Be specific. Give me instructions.
All right. But really quick before we start winding things down here, guys, for those of you in the chat and those of you are watching on the rewind, you've been watching The Bad Batch with Brandon and Bailey, and we have appreciated having you. We're here Saturday every 6 p.m., 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, and we'll be doing this until... Oh, okay. Brandon's sharing.
No, it's okay.
Oh, okay.
You can wait a little bit to.
All right.
Do that. Didn't mean to break up your focus.
It's okay because I'm looking at the camera and right below me, there's weird stuff going on the screen. I was like, what's going on? But anyway, for those of you that have joined us, especially if you've been participating in chat, you guys know having everybody here really makes this show, and we greatly appreciate you. Thank you so much for joining us. I've said it 100 times. The three of us would do this, whether there was anybody here or not. But man, to have regular people coming back and new people stopping in really means a lot to us, and we thank you. And if you're catching us on the rewind, thanks for having patience to go back and watch a whole live stream. So with that, we'll go back to this. Brandon, talk about what I'm about to throw up here.
Don't leave yet, Linda. I see Linda saying bye. So it may be a little bit spoilery, and I know we haven't talked about that much, but this has actually been out for a couple months now. And so this is Hot Toys. These are the premium 6th scale figures, like the Qui-Gon Jinn that I have, and they have released the Echo and the Hunter for it. And you'll notice somebody said he's got an R2D2 hand. I think it David. Yeah, it's right. It's up there a little bit. Said they made such a cool hot toy for Echo, and his design is awesome. He's got an R2D2 hand. Why not make him that awesome in the show? So he's got his little Scomp link here, which is what he plugs into, and we have seen him use that in the show. But and this is where it gets into a little bit of spoilers, is he is going to come with all of these accessories. And that's where I'm really seeing, I was like, if we don't see these in this first season, I mean, within like the half the season, I'm definitely thinking this is going to expand. But I mean, we're seeing like Go Gadget Echo.
I was getting Inspector Gadget. That's what I was going to say.
Oh, yeah, and he's got like a wrecker, like fist pound thing.
That's Hulk Smasher. Go to sleep. Yeah.
Hey, good job.
How does he have time in battle to be changing hands like that? I feel like that's a huge disadvantage. Hold on.
Yeah. Wait.
We've got
don't shoot me.
1, 2, 3 different versions of the arm. So I have a hard time believing within the next 4 episodes they introduce this and utilize that. So that's I am leaning more and more towards a second season of this.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know. Sometimes things happen overnight in this universe, so we'll see.
Very, very true, Bailey. We'll definitely see. And just from a little earlier, remember when you were talking, Bailey? Oh, I don't think so. Big agree, Bailey. As you're totally on your side.
Oh yeah.
All right, we're gonna. Oh yeah, you do. I remember that name. Oh, I don't think so. That's an awesome name. So, really quick before I start winding us down here, John, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Linda, hopefully she got to see about the hot toys that will be twice as much in Australia, right, Brandon?
Oh dear Lord, I'm sorry, Linda.
Yeah, everything costs so much more there. Yeah. David, thank you so much. You know what? Because I'm glad that we're having an effect, and like I said, this is fun for us, but I'm glad that the other people are enjoying it as well. GeForce, Love you too, brother. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. Let's get going down here. Oh yeah, Mogu. Great. I'm assuming he meant breakdown. So oh, Linda,
Yeah.
look. Oh, I thought it was ending. Yeah, we're getting there, Linda. Don't
Sorry.
We got to hurry up.
Yeah. Oh my God. Oh, Mogu. Okay, I used to be able to type right. Yeah. Okay. As usual, just in time to catch us in. Darth, yeah, we're winding things down, but always good to see you. He and Linda are what? It's what, August 4th in July in Australia right now or something. So, John, very cool figure. Yeah, we kind of turned into the Hot Toys showcase there for a second, but I thought that was good. Yeah. I'm not worried about it. I thought it was good. Let's just make sure they're sleeping. I hope your stream. Yeah, I think he was doing a giveaway tonight. I hope that went well. We had a couple of cross streamers over here with us. David, exactly like how cool it is. They made such a hot toy for Echo. They have to do better. I agree, because he's the one who started that whole thing. Strategically places the needed hand for each scenario, right, Bailey?
Oh, does he have the gift of foresight? Like, is he force sensitive? Because I just don't see it. And also, how is he carrying all these parts? Does he have a briefcase of hands? Like, and then he's just like, I need an explanation.
Fair enough. Brandon, please tell me why this works, because you say it all the time.
It's not consistent.
There you go. Because Star Wars is just never consistent. Yes.
And I guess that's what I'm trying to do here, is I'm trying to beg for consistency.
Good luck with that, Bailey. We'll be here when it doesn't continue to happen. Yeah. Oh my God. This is the best breakdown show. Thank you, Paul, Bailey, and Brandon. Thank you, everyone in chat. JT, thank you. From the sincerest part of my heart, I greatly appreciate that. But with that, Brandon, did I miss anything? Anything you want to get out before we take off?
No. I'm
Bailey. Bailey, any last thoughts before we get us out of here?
I'm a cool and collected person in real life. I swear.
Yeah, I agree, Brandon.
Wow, thanks, guys.
Hey, you notice every now and then, depending on what the topic is, there's always a fact. Yeah. Somebody understand Morse code, please? Yeah.
You know what? If you guys want to put me in the same room as Feloni and see what happens, that would be fireworks.
Oh my God. But no, what I was going to say is, depending on what the topic is, there's always a faction of two against one other. Like when it comes to making fun of old people, you two are always against me. Sometimes Brandon and I are against Bailey.
Not
and it just goes around. Oh, well, that makes it better. Okay, thanks, Bailey. It wasn't intentional. Oh my God. Well, with that, you guys have been awesome. This has been a lot of fun. Everyone in chat, thanks for joining us. You guys have been awesome as well. And you know what? I just wanted to throw this back up there again, because JT, that's what makes doing this worth it to all of us. You guys agree?
Absolutely.
All right. And on that one, we're gonna end and get out of here. But Brandon, you don't have to participate if you don't want to, because it's weird. But we'll see you on the next episode. Love the face, Brandon. That's real convincing.